You know what I've learned? No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to push you, motivate you, or remind you of your potential. That's your job. Every single day you wake up with two choices: stay the same or get better. And most choose comfort. They hit snooze on their goals, silence their ambition, and convince themselves that tomorrow will be the day they start. But here's the truth. Tomorrow doesn't exist. There is only today, and what you do with it determines everything. The person you become isn't built in the big moments, it's built in the quiet ones. When nobody's watching, when no one's cheering, and when it would be easier to quit. That's where your real power begins. In the work you do on yourself every single day. Your life doesn't change in a single day. It changes in the quiet, ordinary moments when you choose to do what's uncomfortable instead of what's easy. Most people think transformation comes with a big event, a new year, a new job, a breakthrough moment. But real change doesn't announce itself. It happens silently, in the small decisions that no one sees, the ones you repeat when you could easily walk away. That's where your power hides, not in the grand gestures, but in the daily discipline that builds who you are becoming. Every day you make decisions that shape your character, whether you realize it or not. When you decide to wake up early, when you choose to keep a promise to yourself, when you show up even when you're tired, those moments are molding you. And the truth is, no one will clap for you. No one will celebrate the early mornings, the quiet sacrifices, or the nights you spend working while everyone else sleeps. But those unseen moments are the foundation of every victory you'll ever have. We live in a world that glorifies instant results. Everyone wants success now. But growth doesn't work that way. It's earned in repetition, in the daily grind that tests your patience and commitment. The people you admire didn't wake up confident, disciplined, or fearless. They built it. One decision, one habit, one day at a time. And they built it when no one believed in them yet. That's the difference between wishing for a better life and working for one. You have to start looking at your choices like investments. Every decision is a deposit into your future. When you choose growth over comfort, consistency over excuses, you are quietly compounding progress. It might not feel like much today. Reading that one page, taking that one step, pushing through one more rep, but it's adding up. One day you'll look back and realize that the person you've become was shaped by those small, silent moments when you refused to give up. So stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect motivation. It's not coming. What's coming is another sunrise, another chance to make a better decision than yesterday. That's how you change your life. Not in a flash of inspiration, but in the steady, unglamorous work you do every single day. Be proud of those moments no one sees, because those are the ones that truly define you. And when it gets hard, and it will, remind yourself that the struggle is part of the process. Growth hurts before it feels good. Discipline feels heavy before it feels empowering. But every small decision you make to show up, to push harder, to stay focused, is proof that you're becoming someone stronger than you were yesterday. That's how transformation happens, quietly, daily, and relentlessly. Discipline beats motivation. Motivation is a spark. It burns bright for a moment, then fades when things get hard. Discipline is the flame that never goes out. It's what keeps you moving when you don't feel like it. When you're tired, when no one's watching. People rely too much on motivation. They wait for that perfect wave of inspiration before they act. But if you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll wait your entire life. The people who win are the ones who show up no matter how they feel. They do it tired, they do it uncertain, they do it afraid. That's discipline. Every day, you're faced with two voices. One tells you to take it easy, to rest a little longer, to skip that workout or that goal because it's not a big deal. The other voice, the quieter one, says, get up, keep going, do it anyway. That second voice is your discipline speaking. It's not loud or dramatic, it's steady and firm. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. The problem is, most people spend their lives feeding the wrong voice. They let emotions dictate their actions instead of commitment. And that's why they never see change. You can't build a strong life on temporary feelings. Motivation is emotional. It depends on how you feel in a moment. But discipline is built on a decision, a promise you make to yourself that no matter how hard it gets, you'll stay the course. That's where self-respect grows from, keeping the word you gave to yourself, even when no one else will ever know. Because at the end of the day, it's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of being consistent, capable of finishing what you start, capable of showing up for your own life. The truth is, you won't always want to do it. There will be mornings when your body is heavy and your mind is full of doubt. There will be days when it feels like the work isn't paying off, when the results seem too far away. That's when discipline matters most, when everything inside you wants to stop. Discipline doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for effort. It's about choosing progress over comfort, one small action at a time. Every step you take, on the days you don't feel like moving forward, is worth twice as much as the ones you take when it's easy. Because discipline is where transformation lives. It's what builds character, confidence, and strength. It's what separates those who dream from those who do. The truth is simple. If you master discipline, you can achieve anything. It's not glamorous, it's not quick, but it's real. Discipline doesn't give you instant gratification. It gives you something better. It gives you control over yourself. And when you have that, you become unstoppable. You are your own project. Everything you are, everything you hope to be, depends on the work you're willing to put into yourself. We spend so much of our lives building things outside of us, careers, relationships, comfort, and forget that the most important construction site is within. You are your responsibility. No one else is coming to build your confidence, your mindset, or your strength. That's on you. The same way you would prepare for a mission, study for an exam, or protect someone you care about, you have to protect your own potential with that same intensity. Because if you don't, life will strip it away piece by piece. Working on yourself is not a one-time thing, it's a lifelong process. It's waking up every day and asking, how can I be better than I was yesterday? It's learning, unlearning, and rebuilding. Some days that work is exciting, other days it's uncomfortable and exhausting. But every ounce of effort you pour into your own growth pays you back in ways no one else can. You can lose money, opportunities, or people, but what you build inside yourself stays with you. It becomes your foundation, your armor, your strength in every storm. The mistake most people make is that they treat personal growth like a phase. They'll read one book, attend one seminar, or try something for a few weeks, then stop. They think they've done the work. But the work on yourself never ends. You will always be evolving, and if you're not intentionally shaping that evolution, life will shape it for you. You must take ownership of who you are becoming. That means being brutally honest about your weaknesses and intentional about your improvement. It means holding yourself accountable even when it hurts. Being your own project also means protecting your energy and your environment. You can't grow in spaces that drain you. You can't rise if you're surrounded by people who want to stay low. Growth requires boundaries. It requires saying no to things that don't serve your goals and yes to things that challenge you. That's what it means to take your potential seriously, to treat it like something worth defending. And when you start doing that, you'll notice a shift. You'll stop needing validation from others because you'll know your worth through your effort. You'll stop chasing quick results because you'll trust the process. You'll start carrying yourself differently because you'll realize you've built something inside that no one can take away. You'll see that everything in your life, every success, every failure, every opportunity, reflects how much you've invested in yourself. You are your own project, and the work never stops. Every day, you're either building or breaking what you've started. So build carefully, build intentionally, and remember, the greatest thing you will ever create isn't a business, a dream, or a legacy. It's you. Stop negotiating with your excuses. Every time you allow an excuse to win, you trade your progress for comfort. You convince yourself that skipping one small thing won't matter, but that's how people lose their edge, one small compromise at a time. Excuses sound reasonable in the moment, they always do. They sound gentle, forgiving, almost kind. They whisper, "You've done enough," or "You can try again tomorrow." And that's how comfort traps you. It doesn't attack you head on, it lulls you into stillness. It convinces you that you're resting, when in reality, you're retreating. Every person has dreams, goals, and visions of who they could become, but only a few ever reach them. It's not because others had more talent or better opportunities. It's because they stopped negotiating with their limitations. They stopped giving themselves an easy way out. Excuses are seductive. They make you feel safe. They tell you it's okay to slow down, that no one will notice if you don't show up today. But every time you listen to that voice, you teach your mind that quitting is acceptable. You train yourself to break promises to yourself. You have to become someone who recognizes the difference between a reason and an excuse. A reason protects your health, your integrity, your sanity. An excuse protects your laziness. They may sound the same at first, but deep down you always know which one you're choosing. Growth requires honesty. Not the kind you show to others, but the kind that happens in silence, when no one is around to hold you accountable. That's where you ask yourself the hard question, am I being real or am I running from effort? When you stop negotiating with your excuses, you start discovering your real strength. You start realizing how much power you've been giving away to comfort. You understand that most limitations are self-imposed. You're not too busy, too tired, or too late. You're just scared of being uncomfortable. And that fear is what separates average from exceptional. The people who rise aren't the ones who have no fear or fatigue. They're the ones who act despite it. They don't waste time arguing with their excuses, they move. So the next time your mind starts listing reasons to pause, remind yourself who you said you wanted to become. Remind yourself why you started. That voice inside you that says, you can't, you're not ready, or you'll start later. That's not you. That's resistance, and it only grows stronger the more you feed it. Starve it by taking action. The truth is, you can't build a strong life on weak choices. Every excuse you entertain becomes a wall between you and your potential. Every time you push past one, you break through another limit you once believed was real. That's how transformation happens, not by finding more motivation, but by refusing to give in to the excuses that try to stop you. Because once you stop negotiating with your excuses, you start negotiating with your greatness. Confidence is built in silence. It's not something you can fake or borrow. It's something you earn through the work you do when nobody is watching. Real confidence doesn't come from applause or validation. It comes from knowing that you've done the work. The hard, unseen, unglamorous work that most people avoid. When you look in the mirror, the only person you can't lie to is yourself. You either know you've shown up for your goals, or you know you've made excuses. And that truth is what shapes your confidence. Because confidence isn't loud, it's calm. It's quiet certainty that says, I've earned my strength. The reason so many people struggle with self-doubt is because they rely on others to make them feel worthy. They look for praise, attention, and reassurance to fill a gap that only self-discipline can fill. You can't build real confidence by being seen. You build it by showing up when no one sees you. When you put in the work day after day, even when you're tired or discouraged, you start to trust yourself. That trust is the foundation of confidence. You begin to believe in yourself, not because someone told you to, but because your actions have proven it. There's a kind of peace that comes from quiet effort. When you know you've done what you said you would do, you walk differently, you speak differently, you stop needing validation because your confidence is rooted in truth, not perception. And that kind of confidence can't be taken from you. It's not dependent on likes, attention, or approval. It's built from the inside out, brick by brick, through consistency and integrity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that inner foundation. But the opposite is also true. Every time you break your own word, you weaken it. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, or just this once won't hurt. And in those moments, your mind learns not to trust you. You lose that quiet power that comes from self-belief. That's why so many people feel lost or uncertain, not because they're not capable, but because they've abandoned the small acts that build inner strength. Confidence isn't about pretending to be fearless. It's about facing your fears and proving to yourself that you can handle them. When you build confidence in silence, you learn to stop performing for the world. You start doing things for your own growth, not for recognition. The world doesn't need to see your process, they'll see your results. And that's enough. The long nights, the effort, the sacrifices, they all accumulate into a quiet power that no one can deny. You don't have to tell people you're confident. They'll feel it when you walk into a room. Because true confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It's the byproduct of silent work, honest effort, and the courage to keep going even when no one is clapping. That's how you build something unshakable. By becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, not even yourself. If you don't evolve, life will force you to. Change is not something you can avoid. It's something that will find you, ready or not. Life has a way of pushing you out of comfort when you stay there too long. The job you thought was secure disappears. The relationship you depended on falls apart. The plan you built your life around suddenly collapses. And in that moment, you have two choices: break down or break open. Growth is not always graceful. Sometimes it starts with pain, with loss, with being stripped of everything familiar. But that's life's way of saying, you can't stay here anymore. We often hold on to what's known because it feels safe. We stay in places, habits, and mindsets that no longer serve us because the unknown feels terrifying. But what we don't realize is that staying the same has a cost too. When you stop growing, you stop living fully. You become stuck, restless, and disconnected from your own potential. Growth is uncomfortable, yes, but so is stagnation. The difference is that one leads to expansion and the other to decay. If you don't make the hard decision to evolve on your own, life will make it for you, and it won't ask for your permission. The truth is, growth doesn't wait for your readiness. It comes when it's time. It comes when something inside you whispers that you were meant for more, even if you can't see what that more looks like yet. But too many people ignore that voice. They silence it with distractions, with routine, with comfort. And then one day, life intervenes, harshly. The opportunity disappears, the stability crumbles, and you're left with the one thing you were trying to avoid: change. But here's the paradox. Those moments, the ones that feel like everything's falling apart, are often the exact moments you begin to rebuild into something better. When life forces you to evolve, it's not punishment, it's correction. It's the universe removing what no longer aligns with who you're supposed to be. Growth doesn't come wrapped in ease. It comes in challenges that test your patience, your strength, and your will. It shows you what you're made of and what you still need to learn. That's why you must learn to welcome change before it's forced upon you. Choose to evolve before life demands it. Push yourself to become uncomfortable, to question your habits, to step into new spaces before circumstances make you. Because when you choose growth voluntarily, you grow with grace instead of chaos. You control your direction instead of being pushed by it. You become someone who adapts, who learns, who transforms with purpose. And when life does throw challenges your way, and it will, you won't break, you'll bend, adjust, and rise stronger. That's what evolution does. It doesn't just change you, it prepares you. The goal is not to avoid change, but to become the kind of person who's always ready for it. Because if you don't evolve by choice, life will make sure you evolve by force. And that's a lesson best learned before the storm arrives. Self-respect comes from self-work. It's not something you can demand from others, and it's not something that appears out of nowhere. It's something you build piece by piece through your own actions. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that respect. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, even when it's inconvenient, you send a message to your own mind. I can trust me. And that's where self-respect begins, in trust. The trust that you are reliable, that you show up for yourself the same way you do for everyone else. The problem is, we often treat our own commitments as optional. We'll keep promises to our friends, our jobs, our families, but when it comes to ourselves, we negotiate. We push our goals aside. We say we'll start tomorrow, next week, next month. And with each broken promise, our confidence erodes a little more. It's not the missed workout or the undone task that matters most. It's the pattern it creates. You begin to believe that your own word doesn't carry weight, that your effort isn't worth prioritizing. And that belief quietly weakens you. Self-respect is not built by how you talk to yourself. It's built by what you do for yourself. Words are easy, action is hard. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if your actions don't align with them, they're just noise. The real affirmation is consistency. When you show up for yourself, even when it's hard, you're proving that you're worth the effort. That's what changes how you see yourself. You stop needing external validation because your respect for yourself becomes rooted in evidence of your own discipline, integrity, and follow-through. You'll notice that the people who hold their heads high aren't always the most successful or talented. They're the ones who've done the work to earn their own respect. They've faced their weaknesses, owned their mistakes, and kept going anyway. They've built their identity not on perfection, but on effort. Because self-respect isn't about being flawless, it's about being honest. It's about saying, I might not be where I want to be yet, but I'm working on it every day. That kind of honesty creates strength. You cannot expect the world to respect you if you don't respect yourself first. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. When you constantly neglect your needs, tolerate what drains you, or accept less than you deserve, you're telling the world that's all you're worth. But when you draw boundaries, prioritize your growth, and honor your commitments, people begin to mirror that respect back to you. Because energy doesn't lie, people can feel when you value yourself. Self-respect is not built overnight. It's the result of countless small moments where you chose responsibility over excuses. It's the accumulation of effort, honesty, and persistence. And the beautiful thing is, once you build it, no one can take it away. You stop chasing approval because you've already given yourself something far more powerful. The quiet, unshakable knowing that you are someone who can be trusted, and that is the foundation of every strong, confident, and fulfilled life. Be your own standard. Too many people look around and measure their worth by someone else's success, someone else's life, or someone else's approval. They scroll through social media and feel small because someone else seems to have more, do more, or be more. But comparing yourself to others is a trap. It steals your focus, your energy, and your progress. You will never reach your potential if your benchmark is someone else's highlight reel. Real growth comes when you stop looking outward for validation and start measuring yourself against your own commitments. Your standard should be the person you promised yourself you would become. That means holding yourself accountable to your goals, your values, and your effort, not to the achievements or opinions of others. If you said you would show up, then show up. If you said you would learn, then learn. If you said you would improve, then improve. Those are the only measures that matter because those are the things you can control. The world will constantly throw comparisons your way, but your power lies in defining your own rules and refusing to let someone else dictate your worth. Being your own standard also means refusing shortcuts that compromise your integrity. It's easy to take the path of least resistance, to settle for less, or to mimic someone else's approach because it looks successful. But shortcuts never create lasting strength. When you hold yourself to your own standard, you choose the hard work, the long-term growth, and the consistent effort that builds real confidence and capability. You set the bar for yourself, and every day you meet it, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, disciplined, and capable. It's also about trusting your own journey. No one's path looks like yours, and that's a good thing. When you compare yourself to someone else, you ignore your own unique strengths, your own timing, and your own potential. Life isn't a race. It's a series of personal milestones that you reach by being consistent and intentional. Your worth is not determined by how fast you climb or how high someone else has gone. It's determined by how faithfully you pursue your own growth and how fully you honor your commitments to yourself. Being your own standard doesn't mean you ignore lessons or inspiration from others. You can learn from people, admire excellence, and adopt strategies, but you don't let it become a measure of your self-worth. Your self-respect comes from the alignment between your intentions and your actions. Every time you meet your own expectations, no matter how small, you reinforce your standard. Every time you compromise it, you weaken it. The challenge is to keep raising that standard, to keep holding yourself accountable, and to keep growing in the way only you can. When you fully embrace this, something shifts inside you. You stop seeking permission or approval. You stop doubting your path. You become someone who moves with purpose, confidence, and integrity because your measure of success is no longer external. It's internal, unwavering, and unshakable. And that is the kind of life that can't be derailed because it is built on a foundation you control, a standard you create, and a commitment you honor every single day. Your habits are your future in disguise. Every single choice you make today is an investment in the life you will live tomorrow. The truth is, your future doesn't arrive magically. It is built, piece by piece, through the routines you repeat when no one is watching. The small things you do consistently, what you read, how you speak to yourself, the way you manage your time, the decisions you make when no one is applauding. All of it compounds into the person you will become. Every habit is a building block, and together they create the life you either dream of or the life you settle for. Most people underestimate the power of their daily routines. They think progress requires grand gestures, huge leaps, or extraordinary effort. But real change isn't born in dramatic moments. It is born in ordinary ones. It is in the act of showing up day after day for the small but meaningful practices that matter. Whether it's exercising, reading, meditating, learning, or keeping promises to yourself, these habits quietly shape your character